Hi, my name is Eva Grazel. I'm a stage 4 survivor of oral cancer, but today I am celebrating and honoring Neil Arnold, a 30-year survivor of recurrent oral cancer. His story is extraordinary. On June 11th, 1993, he had surgery on the base of his tongue on the left side. 6 years later, it was on the front of the tongue. 3 years later, it was on the mid-tongue. 2 years after that, it was in the floor of his mouth. He had a complete mandibulectomy, a right neck dissection, a free flap. He had already had everything done on the left. And then in 2011, he had a pain in his throat, pharyngeal or cancer of the pharynx. You think that's not enough? A year later, he had difficulty swallowing, and again, he had base of tongue oral cancer, at which point they treated him with chemotherapy. And since then, it's been now 11 years, he has been cancer-free. His story is extraordinary, and you are about to hear it. So please celebrate Neil with me and make a donation to the Oral Cancer Foundation. The link is below, and definitely in the comments, also add any 30-year survivors that you know of this disease. And now for his story.
However, I am able to communicate. I'd say Neil was first diagnosed in 1993, so it'll be 27 years in June since he had his first. A lot has gone on in those past 27 years, and a lot of it's been pretty miserable, but it's also been, if you made a pro and con list, I always say the pro list would be so much longer of all the experiences and things that we've been able to enjoy in those 27 years. My story starts about 27 years ago in, of all places, Hawaii. I noticed when eating I had a bit of discomfort in my mouth. Nothing painful, and it was not worth doing anything about at that time. Gradually over the next month, that discomfort became worse and I sought medical help. I saw physicians from several different specialties who told me I had a number of different possibilities. Cancer was not one of them. I think they were all in denial. Regardless, that had me do several different things and all told me it should improve. I should have known right then and insisted on a biopsy. I actually did, but it was about a month later. During that time, I had some of the happiest and proudest times of my life, and I was miserable.
His wife had a 50th birthday celebration.
We had a college graduation. My son graduated from medical school and then got married, so we were having all these celebrations, and he's trying to put up a front because he's having all this ear and head pain.
What was the diagnosis in there? Was base of tongue? So it was probably HPV positive.
It isn't. He was tested and it wasn't HPV positive, but he still thinks it could have been. He's an OBGYN, and he feels that he maybe picked up the HPV virus somehow in the course of his work. I have had a previous lesion noted by my dentist that was biopsied and interpreted as severe dysplasia. It was treated with a laser, and I was told that it was gone. It was, or at least it could not be seen. My major symptom was ear pain, especially when I swallowed. I could swallow, but every time I did, I had a severe sharp shooting pain in my left ear. I rated it a 20 in a scale of 1 to 10. I described this as if someone were stabbing me in the ear with an ice pick. When I finally had the surgery, the cancer was 4 centimeters long. Think of that, almost the size of my little finger. The first surgery was June of 1993. He's had multiple surgeries since then, smaller ones, bigger ones. He ended up with a laryngectomy in 2011, and then the cancer came back again after that, and at that point they told us that they couldn't do any more surgery. He'd never had chemo. They always told us that chemo wouldn't help. He did have 7 weeks of radiation, similar to what Eva had. After his very first surgery, he's had 2 radical neck dissections. But they started him on chemo in April of 2012, and it's doing its job, so. Now fast forward about 25 years. During this time, I have had multiple other biopsies and operations. My tongue is all
almost gone. I had extensive radiation which lasts forever and eventually resulted in my upper teeth being totally cracked and are now implants. My jawbone was partially removed and replaced by a leg bone. The esophagus has been remade from my chest wall muscles.
But he also was wondering because he had they used skin from his leg, right?
Yeah.
Or inside it, he always was wondering if there was hair growing inside. But,
Go ahead, show the picture. It's a picture of the hair in his... Is that the cancer? Wow. It's an amazing photograph. You see that?
all the time at the Mayo Clinic. We've had the same doctor up until our next visit. For 27 years, our doctor's finally retired. But he did start with a resident that we knew who now works there, so we do have a continuum of care, which is really good. We're fortunate it's a 90-minute drive from our house to Mayo, so that makes it pretty easy to go back and forth. And they have told him that all of his recurrences were new primaries, that it's never been a metastasis. So it's just kind of interesting, and that's when someone asks the question about how do they know it's a primary as opposed to a spread. So I don't know that answer either, but that would be something we should ask. We have to go back and make.
First, I will tell you that doctors do not know anything about the ramifications and social problems that patients experience after life-changing medical events. This includes heart attacks, strokes, transplants, or any other similar medical events. We are lucky that there are therapists to help, but sometimes it's up to us to find them. They also don't know how these problems affect us in just ordinary day-to-day living. They don't tell us that we may lose sensation in our fingers and that buttoning shirts may become a chore, or that handling a zipper may become difficult and lead to some awkward moments, or that you may find such simple tasks as turning pages in a book or newspaper is very difficult.
Sense of humor is number one.
I don't know what happens when people who should be friends tend to ignore you because you can't carry on a conversation or keep up with them in a walk or take too long to eat dinner. Invitations go down and isolation sets in. There may be a lot of depression. Most of you have seen me use my blender as I need to drink almost everything. That blender has allowed me to go to Israel twice, Europe a half dozen times, many cruises including the Panama Canal and Alaska. In summary, I have several takeaways. First, if something changes in our lives, we need to find out why and not stop until we do. Second, we can't rely on physicians to help us after medical care. We need to find the other professionals to help us. Third, what happened to us and how we live after bad medical events is up to us. We can withdraw or we can move on within our limits. Fourth, and perhaps more important, we need to recognize that this is where friendship to others is most important when they need it more than ever.
I think what he just said is really important, and we are lucky we have a strong support system of friends and family, our 3 kids and 5 grandchildren, but it does affect socially, and like he says, the conversation starts and he wants to contribute. By the time he's typed out what he wants to say, the conversation's gone on to something else, and I think that's, just have patience with people and understand that they can't always respond and do as fast as you can.
I am reminded of a certain anonymous philosopher who said God put me on this earth to do a certain number of things, and right now, I am so far behind, I can never die.
That was really beautiful, very touching.
We feel very lucky that we got to come today to hear Eva, because having met her and reading about her and stuff, we just were so inspired and so glad that we're here today.
Are there any questions you'd like to ask Neil or Naomi? He was pretty thorough, huh? Oh, here's a couple.
How long have you been without your voice?
How long have you been without a voice? 8 years.
So you use your blender and you take it with you everywhere. Which one are you using?
Magic bullet.
The magic bullet?
Yeah.
The little portable one?
It had mostly good experiences. Most restaurants are helpful and help us find a plug. Last night we had a little issue at Cheesecake Factory. But anyway, that's the exception to the rule. And he eats everything. I know you didn't say that part, but he could have he said a brisket smoothie or, you know, anything just about.
It just
you can
blends
put
it
in.
right on it.
Just
Oh, that's great.
adds liquid to help make it thinner, and so he eats really everything, and he does taste now. A lot of people ask us that. How does he taste? He didn't in the beginning, but he does.
Does now.
As well as
Isn't his story extraordinary and inspiring? Despite all of his challenges, Neil has lived life to the fullest. Join me in celebrating this extraordinary man by making a donation to the Oral Cancer Foundation. The link is below. And don't forget, list any other oral cancer survivors you know who have survived 30 years or more. Thanks. And thank you again on behalf of the Oral Cancer Foundation.